Across Sub-Saharan Africa and the global south, energy is more than just a commodity. It's the heartbeat of daily life. From cooking meals over an open flame to traveling across vast distances for school or work, energy touches everything we do. But what happens when the energy we rely on is scarce, expensive, or harmful to our health and the environment? Today, we explore how the renewable energy revolution is transforming lives in these regions and the challenges that stand in the way. For most of us people in the Sub-Saharan Africa, it is very hard to access electricity, especially for people in the rural areas. Electricity access is usually common in the urban areas, but less in the rural areas. So with renewable energy, I believe accessibility of electricity in also the rural areas can be made easy, because by use of renewable energy like solar panels, people in the rural areas are able to access electricity. Many people still rely on firewood or charcoal to cook, especially in rural areas. How could switching to solar power, for example, make a difference in these households?
When you talk about charging their phones, people can easily adopt the use of solar panels or easily access community kiosks, which can be cheap for them and charge their phones.
Renewable energy is the type of energy that comes from natural sources like the sun, the wind, and heat from the earth. It does not run out, and it is cleaner than fossils. We see people cooking over firewood or kerosene lamps for light. What kind of health risks or dangers do these traditional sources of energy pose to families? Is it a matter of cost, infrastructure, or something else? And what can be done to address these barriers? The government does not teach people on these types of renewable energy sources. So if people are ignorant about these renewable energy sources, they're not going to implement them. So it's a bit of a barrier because people are not aware of these sources. So they will go ahead using the kerosene, they will go ahead cutting down trees to get charcoal, because they're not informed about the solar systems, the biomass, the geothermal energy. They're not aware about all these things. The other thing I can talk about is funds. Government lacks funds to implement these things. For example, buying solar panels for people in rural areas is hard for the government, and also funds for teaching or sensitizing people are also limited. So that is also a barrier. In many parts of Sub-Saharan Africa, life revolves around fire, whether it's the flames that cook meals, light homes, or warm spaces. But this reliance on fire comes at a steep cost. Not only is it dangerous, causing respiratory diseases from smoke inhalation, but it also contributes to deforestation and climate change.
They can also use insulated cookers, where they easily reserve partial heat and are safe for saving fuel. If you are to talk about charging their phones, they can easily adopt the use of portable solar panels or easily access the community kiosks, where they can pay a small fee and charge their phones.
If people are able to use more buses instead of cars, it would reduce jam, because also traffic jam leads to emission of bad carbon gases that are not healthy for the environment. So if people are able to use public transport means like buses, taxis, they take a lot of people, hence reducing the number of cars, which is good for the environment. Then also using electric bikes. Most people are not aware of them, but continuously advertising to promote awareness, and also teaching people about the use or the advantages of keeping our environment clean and the advantages of using these renewable energy sources. People become aware, so they will use the electric bikes, even these normal bikes. I believe they are very good instead of using borders. Electric cars or buses sound like the future, But how close are we to seeing them on the streets of major cities like Nairobi, Accra, or Lagos? Many of these regions are feeling the impact of climate change already, through droughts, floods, or extreme temperatures. How could switching to renewable energy reduce those impacts in the long run?
The government is taking an initiative to improve on the lives of our rural people. We know very well they don't have very many sources of energy, especially in cooking. We also see in solar-powered batteries that have helped to improve in the lighting. It has also given these rural area people a chance to have energy in very many capacities that serve a purpose in their lives, charging, lighting, and very many others. We also have a mobile office behind me here, which is solar paneled. It is a way to adjust to the way our settings are improving to power our lives even where we are moving. So it's a very big source of energy for us. On top of that, we see that streets of Kampala are now being powered by solar panels. The street lights are lighting everywhere because of this renewable energy. So the solar panels give a source of energy, and eventually our streets of Kampala become bright.
Enter renewable energy. Solar power, wind energy, and even small-scale hydro can provide cleaner, safer, and more sustainable alternatives. These solutions promise to bring electricity to homes, health clinics, schools, and businesses in areas that have long been left behind. But the road to a greener future isn't simple. Challenges like high upfront costs, lack of infrastructure, and limited access to financing hold back the widespread adoption of renewable energies.
Some of these obstacles actually in Sub-Saharan Africa are challenges in capital because most of the countries don't have the money to invest in renewable energy. They don't have the land, they don't have the technology, basically like to pull off these renewable energies. And besides that, also their policies tend to deter the investor that would come and invest into renewable energy. Even the financial institutions like the banks, they regard renewable energy projects as very risky ventures to undertake any serious investment in them. So everyone basically shuns away from them. About that, basically, if all electric cars came into the market, I think it will reduce on a lot. It will reduce on the costs of transportation within the urban areas. It will reduce, I think, on the carbon gases that are emitted by these vehicles that we are using currently. So I think electric vehicle would be a very good thing for this country here. It will improve a lot on our ecosystem.
I can talk about two of the challenges, the funding challenges. The first one is money. Funding these projects is really expensive because you have to buy a lot of things. You have to buy the solar panels, you have to buy a lot of equipment, because you're not going to just go in the sun and use the sun, because the sun is only there for a limited time. So you have to, if you're going to charge solar panels to use them for a longer period, you're going to need more equipment, which ends up being expensive. So when government finds out that some of those projects are expensive, they tend to lay them off because they do not want to waste a lot of funds, but hence ignoring the advantages that come out of those things. So for someone to look for an organization or an international organization that is going to fund them fully is hard, because these projects require a lot of money. I stated that. Then the other thing I stated that I can state or add on to that is the government, the unclear policies of the government. Because if you're going to look for funding from, let's say, international funding, you need clear policies. You need a clear vision of what you're going to do. And most of the Sub-Saharan African countries do not have that. So getting funds out there becomes hard because they have unclear policies.
While the technology is available, Getting it into the hands of everyday people requires a coordinated effort. Yet, where the change is happening, it's changing lives. Solar power is giving families cleaner, safer cooking solutions. Electric vehicles are starting to replace polluting gasoline-powered transport, and people are seeing the benefits of renewable energy in everything from healthcare to education.
As you know, climate change leads to increased temperatures, increased global temperatures. So with renewable sources, if people are using renewable sources, that means they will not cut down trees. And trees are good for the climate. Yeah, they help in rain formation, which is good for the environment, or which is good for the environment that we live in, basically. So if people are using these renewable sources, they will not cut down trees to get charcoal. They will not use kerosene or oils, because those ones also produce carbon emissions. So when we use renewable sources, we limit pollution, we limit deforestation, which is good for the climate change, which reduces those temperatures. Number one, sensitization, creating awareness. Because if you create awareness, or if you create awareness only in the urban areas, that means the urban people are the only people that are going to be knowing about the advantages of this. But if you create awareness also in the rural areas, they're going to stop cutting down trees. That is creating inclusiveness. We are including the rural people, and we are also including the urban people, sensitizing everyone, encouraging everyone to protect the earth that we live in, the environment that we live in, discouraging deforestation, both in the rural areas and urban areas, encouraging people to plant more trees.
As Sub-Saharan Africa and the Global South look to the future, renewable energy stands as a key solution not only to energy poverty, but also to the climate crisis. With the right investments, innovation, and partnerships, the energy transition can be a path to a sustainable, thriving future for all. The journey is just beginning, and the power of renewable energy is in all of our hands.